What's up, guys? Welcome back to MD Disc Golf. Today we got a little bit of a different video for you. I'm going to take you through my bag and show you what an amateur disc golf player throws. Obviously, Colin and I are not pros, so we throw a mixed bag. We throw what looks good, what feels good to us, and generally just, whatever we're feeling like. And my bag definitely changes a lot across the season and also with different weather types and whatnot. So we're fresh off the tournament last week, so I got some drivers in here specifically for some heavy wind, some other discs for that wet condition. So go ahead and jump right into it. So first off, we got putters. So my putting putters are the Nate Sexton Firefly. It's in a super awesome Nexus color glow plastic. It's just awesome grip. No matter what condition it is, always can rely on that. Putting might not be great, but it always feels good in my hand. And then up next, these cycle a lot. I have an overstable throwing putter, and I have an understable or a straight throwing putter. So right now I got my Sky God 4 from Discmania, and I have this guy right here, 10th anniversary Lucid Ice Judge. So this one I definitely will do for like stable approaches and anything where I know the wind's going to be up a little bit, versus something like this where I can throw it on anhyzer lines, and also if I'm on some weird ground or whatever and I have to power down, this one comes up for that. I will throw both off the tee. And I will mention, I really never throw these. These are just for putting. But yeah, that's the putters. And I do have two approach discs, what I would call. So first we got a Crystal Ringer here from Discraft. Super sick looking disc. It's basically just a beat up zone. It just a little bit straighter, but has similar speed. It does glide a little bit more too. But this is also a slot that will change a lot. Sometimes it's a jawbreaker zone if I'm in woods courses a lot, but sometimes when it's like an open course, I want something that just goes a little bit further but also holds up in the wind. I'll throw something like this. And then the last one that I have is a good old Glow Z zone. So I love the zone. I almost always have at least one in my bag. Sometimes it will be an ESP zone or something else, but this one has been in my bag specifically for coming up on a year now. So this thing is nice and beat in a little bit, still kind of very overstable, but nice and grippy. Beat in Z kind of gets that way from Discraft. And then before I go on to my mid-ranges, I got two other kind of utility discs. This one I probably is my most thrown disc in my bag. It's my 2021 Nate Sexton Firebird. This is my favorite run because my forehand isn't as good as Colin's. So I definitely have to rely on something a little bit straighter. And especially with how beaten this thing is, it is just absolutely beautiful. And the plastic, color gold plastic is like top 3 for me. So love this disc. And then the other one, I keep 2 in the front here in my bag. The other one is a Captain's Raptor. So sometimes this will be something like ridiculously overstable, like I have a Heiserbomb Sabo. It's even more stable than this, but for right now I have a Captain's Raptor in my bag. First run Z edition. All right, after that, go to my mids. So up first, I have a Big Z Comet. You'll see a pretty good theme here. I'm pretty sure all my mids are actually Discraft. I throw a lot of Discraft just because I really like their lineup and their plastic. But Big Z Comet, absolutely amazing for anhyzer lines and hyzer flip-up lines in the woods. So woods disc all the way. Throwing this guy a lot. Up next, going in stability, is this Z Buzz. This one is pretty straight. It will turn over just a little bit. It's getting beat in a little bit, but it's nice to have something just a little bit less understable than that Comet. And I have a second one right here in ESP, just for different grip, different conditions, and flies just a little bit more stable. Up next, I have a Big Z Nebula, Ledgestone from 2022. That's another thing. I also have a lot of like special edition discs because they're cool and they look nice. But yeah, so this thing just flies like a stable Buzz, very similar hand feel, but yeah, pretty cool. And then last I have a ESP Malta, also Discraft. But yeah, that one flies a lot like this one, but it's a little bit more, it has a little more dump. It kind of flies like a zone, like a longer zone for me. It's pretty comfortable. I don't typically like beads on my discs, but this one has one, and so does a Comet, so you manage. Oh, and I guess I did lie. So I do have one more super overstable disc, which is the Infinite Disc Galleon. So because we were looking at like 20, 30 mile an hour winds this past weekend, this thing was definitely handy for some upshots. It was a really long course, so I didn't see it much, but again, just nice, super overstable disc for those situations. So now we go to the fairways, probably my most thrown disc, or most thrown slot, I should say. So up first, got the Halo Leopard 3. This thing is awesome for hyzer flips. It's like my favorite kind of shot. Super nice plastic, and yeah, just all around great disc. I'm currently bagging 2 discraft Athenas. One, the first one, this pink one right here, and the second one right here is a Proto. This one's considerably more overstable. This one, when it was brand new, this one flew like a Firebird, but just a 7-speed version. But now it's definitely beating in a little bit more. I can definitely throw. I can throw these about like 330, 340, 350 if I'm really, really pushing it. But typically, you know, these are just like good for control shots, or, you know, if I'm doing a placement shot off the tee or something like that, I'll go for something like that. And I have a few 9 speeds. I have an Undertaker Z1. This one's super straight, super nice for wood shots and, you know, just little baby anhyzers or hyzers where I want it to just kind of push a little bit, maybe one direction, but it really just goes straight the entire time. And then I have a Supreme Escape from Dynamic Discs. This one's my absolute like turnover disc, or like tailwind bomber. Like I'll throw this on like if there's like a 20 mile an hour tailwind or something, this thing will, on hyzer, I can throw it and it will still flip up in tailwind and turn over to the right a little bit and then come back. So just max distance utility disc, or get out of trouble disc on like a forehand or something like that. And then lastly, I have my last 9 speed is a Jawbreaker Raptor. So this one is also kind of like a utility, like forehand get out of trouble disc, because it is beating in and it's really good for my forehand off the tee as well. I can throw this one about probably 300 on forehand, which is really good for me. And before we get to the distance drivers, I have 2 what I would call control drivers. So these are 2 Vultures. I have one in Z plastic and one in Jawbreaker Z. This one's just a little bit more stable, but they pretty much serve the same purpose. If I want something to go like pretty straight for most of the flight, but still have a fade at the end, I will reach for this. And for these guys, I'm looking right between the fairway drivers and the distance drivers, so upwards of 330, getting to the 350, 360 mark, depending on the shot and downhill and whatnot. And I guess I didn't say that earlier with the mids, but the separation for the distance for my putters and my mids is my putters will throw anything up to like 200, 220-ish. And then for mids, it goes from there up to like max 300, but that's really pushing it for me, and that's when then the fairway drivers take over. Fairways will be anywhere from 250 to like 330. So yeah, those 2 control drivers, super nice slot to have, and kind of an all-purpose disc. I can forehand them. I like to throw them mostly on backhand, but I will throw them multiple times around probably, depending on where I am. So last but not least, we got the distance drivers, and I am carrying a lot more than I usually do because of the course that Colin and I just played. Was really demanding with the distance shots. So going from least understable, or most understable, to most stable, first I have a Jawbreaker Zeus. So this thing is super sick, also really good with the plastic and the wet conditions. If I don't have this in the bag, I go to my prototype Clash Honey, which flies pretty much exactly like this, maybe just a little bit more stable. But this is really good for, you know, extreme hyzer flips or tailwind shots, anything like that. But yeah, definitely noticeably more understable than my 2 other Zeuses. So I got pink one right here and the blue one. This one is really nice for, again, hyzer flips. with just a little bit more stability than the Jawbreaker one. And this is my stable Zeus. It is starting to beat in to be about the same stability as this pink one, but it definitely still has more of a finish at the end. So just, you know, typically these two discs will cover all my distance driver needs, and typically I only will have 2 or 3, and it'll be this one and an understable one. I don't throw rollers, I just throw understable air shots. So the last two that I have are this awesome X Swirl Edition Force from Ledgestone this year, which is just the most insane, awesome grippy plastic. It was absolutely essential in the rain and everything that we had going on in our tournament. It is just unbelievably grippy and great for the water, for like the wind and the water. Was like my main go-to driver for the entire tournament. So this one I probably won't keep in my bag for the entire year, but it definitely served a nice purpose. And if there was, come spring again, because we're winding down for this year, probably not going to play too many more tournaments this year. But this thing definitely will come back out again in the spring when it's nice and wet. And lastly, I have this Halo Boss, which is a total beefcake. This thing this one specifically I don't throw all too often. Sometimes it will be like a Rive or a really stable Destroyer or some other sort of like fast, overstable distance driver. So that rotates a lot. This is probably one of my least consistent slots in my bag. But it's definitely something that's really nice to have, especially for those super windy days. But yeah. And last but not least, talk about the bag. So this is a Grip AX5. It's a Eagle McMahon edition. I got it as a gift for Christmas last year. Absolutely love it. Holds all the discs that I could ever want and has tons of storage. So keep a water bottle with me, typically on the course. Got 1, 2, 3 towels, 4 towels with me. Typically I'll have that or like a raincoat or something in this pocket. And then in here, keep my phone and I keep my keys. And yeah, that pretty much does it for me. That's my bag. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you liked seeing what kind of disc I throw and kind of the shots and everything that I, kind of my mental process when I go through the disc collection and whatnot. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thanks for tuning into our videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you like to see this kind of content, throw that down in the comments and give us an idea for what you'd like to see next. All right, peace out, guys. See you in the next one.